24-3, Pamela Strickland of Ellenwood, Georgia, requests an appeal to the approval of a conditional use for the property located at 2063. This was previously advertised as a public hearing. It is not a public hearing. This is an appeal. It's not a public hearing to the appeal. Is that correct, County Attorney? It's not a public hearing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct,
thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't need that. Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, and members of the community. This is an appeal, an appeal by an adjacent property owner of a decision of the Zoning Advisory Board, which approved a conditional use permit for property located at 2063 Panola Road. Originally, staff recommended approval of the Zoning Advisory Board's decision, but after additional review of the file and additional review of information provided by the appellant, I advise staff that it's my recommendation that the decision of the ZAB be reversed instead. And the basis for my recommendation is because there were requirements that ZAB overlooked. The issue is with ownership of the property. So the applicant submitted information representing that she individually was the owner of the property. A deeper dive into the documents revealed that it was a combination of two limited liability companies that actually owned the property. So her application was defective. And then a second issue arose with notification of the appellant, who's one of the adjacent property owners. So based on those two defects, ZAB should not have approved her application for conditional use. So we're requesting that the board sustain the appeal that was brought by Ms. Strickland and reverse the decision of the ZAB. Mr. Welch and I spoke earlier today, and we both concur that that's the right result in this particular appeal. And he represents the appellant, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions you might have.
Okay. No, this is not a public hearing, and you cannot speak from back there, ma'am. Andy, do you have?
Mr. Welch has provided documents that we want to submit for the record, so that the record will be complete.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Andy Welch. I'm here representing Ms. Strickland and Itchaway LLC, the adjoining property owner. I concur with all the statements that were made by the county attorney. Those are the bases for our application, as this board is well aware and does a diligent job of making sure the public is duly informed of any decisions that are made that have a legal impact on the property rights of anyone in the county. Notice was not properly provided in this scenario. In addition, the application was not properly completed in accordance with your UDO. We've appealed that and asked for a reversal of that decision by the ZAB. This information I don't think was apparent to the ZAB at the time. So with the amount of applications that your staff has to take in on a routine basis, it's enormous. And your staff does an excellent job of reviewing all of these things. It's really difficult to fly spec every single application and cross-check that against the title records. Your staff trusts that the applicant is representing the truth at the time of application, and they have to rely on that because it's almost impossible to go back and double-check all those things. And on the notice issue, it really was a typo. The address, inadvertently, the 7 was dropped out of the address, so it was not properly sent to the adjoining property owner's address. Nevertheless, the property owners have the adjoining property owners have a constitutional right. When you have a zoning ordinance that requires notice be provided to the adjoining address, they have a constitutional right to that notice, and this was not given. The county attorney has reviewed these items, the staff, I think, has reviewed these items, and accordingly, I think everybody's in concurrence on those points. And again, we would ask that you reverse.
Commissioner Robinson, this is in your district.
Yes, thank you for both attorneys coming together on this. So I make the motion to sustain the appeal and reverse the decision of the zoning advisory board.
So we've got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second. And no other discussion? Okay, all in favor?